Bzzz, it's electric football. Stu is going out of bounds and circling around randomly. It's the it's the greatest game ever invented, and it's the greatest YouTube NFL prediction show, and it's the wild card round. So here we go.
Right.
I'm Steve Brown.
I'm Stu Pace.
And we're just going to rant away. Chiefs at the Colts, and the Colts beat the Chiefs in Week 16 in Kansas City. Important to remember. Colts were 4-2 versus playoff teams with wins over very impressive teams like the 49ers, Seahawks, Broncos, and the Chiefs. I don't know if you realize this, but the the Chiefs have lost 5 of the last 7 they played, though you can kind of throw the last game out because they were playing all backups against San Diego and almost won it and should have won it.
Yep.
Casey also only had 1 win against a playoff team, and that was early in the season against a struggling Eagles team, still led by Michael Vick. So you give me the Colts with the more impressive, consistent season, beating better playoff teams. You give me them with home field advantage. You give me them. I'm taking the Colts.
I'm going to give you the Colts. Here you are.
Stu, thank you.
This is a very even matchup, in my opinion. This is a run game versus the pass game. Jamal Charles had over 1,200 yards rushing this year, while the Colts traded for a very disappointing Trent Richardson.
But they found a very impressive Donald Brown.
Yeah, Donald Brown sitting on a bench going, I can run for more yards than that. The Chiefs' advantage is the return game and takeaways. And it's not a lot of takeaways. I think it's half a dozen more. But that can be the difference in the game. But they aren't that much better at it to make it that big a deal. The difference to me is Jamal Charles. If they can keep him on the field running, whether it's a swing pass or a rush, and keep Luck off the field, I think the Chiefs have a very good chance. However, had this been played outdoors, I really think that would work to the Chiefs' advantage. This is indoors, which I think works to the Colts' advantage. Alex Smith would need to keep the turnovers to a minimum, and the Chiefs would need to pick Luck off for a pick 6 to win this game. Sean Smith, Eric Berry, and Kendrick Lewis, as I've said 3 times tonight already, has to keep everything in front of them in the secondary. But I don't think they can win on the road in Indy, and I'm taking the Colts with you.
Okay. Some of the things that I'm looking at in these games, some of the important things you want to look at, as far as I'm concerned, are how teams did against playoff teams, who has home field advantage, obviously, and how they ended the season. And I'm going to say that as we go into the San Diego Chargers versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, the Chargers needed help from the refs. I need help speaking. They needed help from the refs with a missed call on the suck-up.
Right.
We often think of Stu as a suck-up, but there's actually
I had a great ESPN thing about suck-up. They never called me back.
Named suck-up. Anyway, the Chiefs should have gotten another shot at it. Steelers fans everywhere are still crying because that would have been a miraculous way to back into the playoffs.
And they would have been dangerous.
But that's what I'm saying. It's important to look at it. The Chargers had every motivation to win that game, every reason to win that game, playing against backups the whole time, and almost in. Very important to factor into your picks. Let's see. They were only 4-2 versus. Well, not only they were 4-2 versus playoff teams with a big win over Denver, but the Bengals already beat them in San Diego in Week 13, and were impressive. The Bengals were impressive handling the Ravens, who had motivation in that game as opposed to the Chiefs. Bengals handled them. I know Stu's not an Andy Dalton fan. He can be inconsistent, but he does come up big. He's a hit or miss kind of guy. And I believe with home field advantage and having the confidence of having a road victory over San Diego makes the Bengals the pick in this one.
I think it's tough to pick. I don't like Andy Dalton. Phillip Rivers has been on fire of late. The rushing game is solid in San Diego, with Ryan Matthews finally coming on with a 1,000-yard season. And the Bengals split time between Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, and with Giovanni Bernard. The key here is the defense. Reggie Nelson, Pac-Man Jones, Terrence Newman, they can make your life miserable at home in Cincinnati. And the Bengals are 8-0. I think they're the only team that went undefeated at home this season.
Nice point.
Chargers D is not scary, but Andy Dalton is. Dalton has 20 picks this year versus Phillip Rivers 11. I think that's a telling stat. However, wild card winners usually come out as the home team in the first round. And I think the crowd and the Bengals D add up to anything that Andy Dalton can damage for the team, and I'm taking the Bengals.
All right, so that's our AFC wildcard round playoff wrap-up. We're going to do an NFC wildcard round wrap-up that we'd hope you'd also come over and view if you enjoyed any of this. I'm Steve Brown, the hooded, bearded hooded hoodlum Steve
And
Brown.
I'm Stu Orlando Rage Pace. We'll be right back.